everyone. I am Damini, your host for today. And I must say, today I have that guest with me. She's very famous on LinkedIn. I think everyone is aware of her. None other than Miss Ashna Jain. Welcome, ma'am, and thank you so much for accepting my invitation.
Thank you so much. I think you've been too kind with the introduction, but yes, thank you so much for inviting me.
Okay.
Yes.
So, without taking your much time, actually, this is a trend of our Law Talk show that we do not introduce a guest because I might miss on something. So, I request you to
Right.
introduce yourself. Just tell us something about
Okay.
you, your college life.
Sure. Okay. So I'll start off with my college journey. So I'm a graduate from National Law University, Jodhpur, and I graduated in 2018. So I primarily studied corporate laws there. Like I took the corporate laws honors, but my college life was good. I made a lot of friends. I took part in a lot of say competitions. I never fixated myself to anything. Say per se that I just want to do mooting or say I just want to do volunteer work or anything. I did a lot of things. So yeah, I had a share of experience in almost like all the things like say publications, volunteering, moot courts, internships, etc. So yes, I had a lot of fun there. I had my shares of ups and downs, of course, like everybody has ups and downs. College journey is not complete without that. But yes, apart from that, it was a great experience. So after graduating, I started working with Shardul Amarchand Mangaldas Bombay office, and I for some reasons, I quit the office and I joined litigation team at the Dua Associates. And I stayed there with them for almost a year and a half, or I think more than that. And post that, I think as all of you know, I've been in the career consultancy space and I've been guiding and mentoring students and interacting with people and organizations. So yeah, this is my short and sweet journey.
That's great. That's good to know that you actually got that job in SAM. Every day, everyone wants to go there, and you're the lucky one who's got the job over there.
Right,
So,
right.
that was all about your college experience and all that. But you said that, you got your job at SAM directly. So I think behind that
Correct.
there might have been a lot of hard work for sure. So just tell us because
Right.
if you just want a job at a law firm, everyone says that you need to do good internships. You need to
Hmm.
intern at good law firms, maybe tier one, tier two, tier three. So just
Right.
tell us about
Right.
your internship experiences. Like how was the experience? How many internships you did?
So, a good question, this one, because I wanted to clear it since a long time. I'm glad I'm getting the platform. So, see, first of all, I was very lost as a law student, like all of us are in our law school. And I think till the end of third year also, I was very much sure that I want to be in human rights. It's just not even, nobody knows it, but like, yeah, I wanted to be in human rights. I had every internship, everything related to that. And then by the end of third year, I spoke to one of my professors. He said that, Ashna, it's good that you want to be in human rights and you're not sitting for placements. But you realize, right, that human rights is something wherein your career will take off probably, like when you've achieved a lot of academic success, because human rights is more of academia than, say, practical training and everything. And he also made me aware of the fact that India is not essentially very well, say, fixated onto the concept of human rights, and which is why they don't give a lot of precedence to it. So if you still want to go ahead with it, it's great. But if you are looking to get employed right after law school, or say, if you want a comfortable life, you might need to take a call on whether you want to still proceed with it or not. So of course, like, I wanted to be financially independent right after I step out of law school. That was something I wanted for myself. Like, just randomly I wanted it for myself. Like, my parents never told me कि आपको financially independent होना है, but like that was something that I thought for myself. So I gave it a thought, and then I realized that I'm not even inclined towards doing LLM per se. So if I don't even want to do LLM, then I don't think I can make it in human rights, and that's very obvious. LLM is like the basic criteria. So then I dropped that idea. So after that, I was in the middle of nowhere, because then I wanted to do corporate, but I had zero corporate internships. Probably one. I did LKS tax team in my first year somehow, and after that, no law firm internship, nothing. Then I struggled a lot. I had to talk to a lot of people. I had to talk to my seniors, etc. I wrote some articles, some blogs. I joined some corporate law related societies just to, put those corporate things on my resume. I joined a journal also as an editor there, and it was a corporate law journal. So then all of that happened, and then I started applying to internships. And so third year internships are a little chill as compared to fourth and fifth year internships. So I got through. I still remember, I think my first corporate internship was with Trilegal. I submitted their higher knowledge test. And luckily, I somehow got through that higher knowledge test and they interviewed me and I got that internship. I think that became my stepping stone for other internships. So yeah, I mean, I interned at a lot of places, but I was very well made aware of the fact that Ashna, if you want to say get a job, either a PPO or through college, whatever, you need to pick your area. Like you can't be interning in like 20 different teams and then tell the recruiter that, listen, this is something that I want. So I just stuck to general corporate and all the 7-8 internships that I did in corporate laws. And then eventually I think I got a job at SAM. So yeah, I think that's my journey of say getting a job.
So what I could get from your answer for this is you need to actually define a particular area for yourself, like in which area you specialize. But I always have this question in my mind. Personally, I want to ask you, like,
right.
How do you ask people to define a particular area of specialization? Like, how did you realize that what is your area of specialization? Can you please explain a bit?
Sure. This is again a very frequently asked question, and rightly so, because I mean, of course, everybody know, when you're in third year of college, you can't decide your area. That's just impossible. So you have to pick something that you are probably inclined towards, probably you worked in it, or you have a base of it. Like say I was a commerce student and I did not exactly have any base in science or anything like that. So for me, I felt that IPR is something that I can't handle, because then one part of IPR, which is patents, would be completely redundant for me, right? So I was never inclined towards IPR. Then human rights again went out of the window, I mean, as we've discussed anyway. And then somehow at that time I was like, no, I mean, litigation is something that I don't want to do. And like I would just not step into it. So then all the procedural laws, criminal laws also went out. So then I was just very keen on deciding one area which will definitely give me a job. So for me at that point, financial independence was a very big factor, because somehow for no good reason, I just had in mind that I want to be financially independent the moment I step out of law school. And as we all know, general corporate is like, say, the biggest employer in the country, right? So there are maximum number of jobs in the field of general corporate. So which is why I picked up general corporate as my area of law. And honestly, as you can see, it's by method of negation. It's not like, it's not something that I was very much inclined towards or I had already worked in. It's just that something that I realized that I have to pick. And if I don't like it, I can always leave it. And then I eventually did also later, right? I left my job and then I moved to Dua. So,
but I think the viewers who will be watching this video, they'll surely have this question, because you said that you joined SAM with the corporate law thing. And after that, you joined Dua Associates with the litigation team. So how was that transition? How did you manage it?
So, I mean, I don't know. So like when I first joined SAM, I was very excited, okay, just to join SAM. The moment I stepped into office, I felt like I've accomplished everything. Now I need to move on to something else. Okay. Like I don't know. I was just not happy with the work that I was being given or something. Because probably I was not cut out for it. And I was actually put in the banking team also, not in the corporate team, because they have a system of rotation. So I think for me, the factor by which switched firms and cities, everything was because I was put in SAM Bombay. And I'm from Chandigarh, like literally, and I've studied in Jodhpur. So they're both like really slow cities, like, and they're extremely peaceful and slow cities, right? And then I'm suddenly in Bombay in the middle of everybody. So then it was really fast for me. Like honestly, I think the city had more impact on me than what the firm had. So which is why I shifted to, like, I had to take a call that, I'm not even liking the work and I'm not liking the city. It's just taking a toll on my mental health. I spoke to my parents that I want to quit. Like within 1 month of joining, I told them that, listen, I can't do this. I need to quit. So they were like, please give it some time. Maybe, you will just grow with it probably. And as parents, of course, they're like, you have the best job in the country. Like, why are you doing this to yourself? So then I was like, I need to do it because it's just taking a toll on my mental health. And 2, 3, 4 months passed, and I realized that it's just getting worse and not better. So I started looking for opportunities. I started applying online, and like I started contacting alumni. I started contacting a lot of people here and there, wherein they could help me understand what litigation looks like, because that was the only other option. And then I somehow got an interview in Dua's litigation team with the partner. And I told him that, I want to make a shift. So he was like, why are you shifting from Sam to Dua? Like, what is your reason? So I told him my reason, that I want to shift my area of law and I want to start from my parent high court, which is the Punjab Haryana High Court. So, which is why I want to start from the litigation team in the Chandigarh office. So he said, but there are a lot of factors involved because you've never worked in litigation before. Why should we hire you? So that's when he told me that, you have to intern with us. And then I was happy interning because I'd anyway quit my job. I had nothing better to do in life otherwise also. So I interned with them for 2 months. And before that, only they offered me a job. They said, fine, we're satisfied with your work, so you can take this job offer. So yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Actually, that was a bold step of yours, that you took this decision that you want to quit, because I
Yeah.
think youth
Yes.
nowadays, that is very difficult for them. You have family pressure, you have societal
Right.
pressure. You need to actually think before you do something, right?
Right.
So that was a bold
Right.
step, and I think you are an inspiration for those whose mental health is not
No,
going
no.
well. Because that's a good
I
decision.
don't think I'm an inspiration.
You are, because like, I'll put it in a very simple words, that you're working in a
Right.
top tier firm, you decided to quit it within a month. That is a bold step, because
Yeah.
not anyone can do that. I think even I'll
Right.
take a year to decide it, because I have family pressure, I have society pressure as well. But that's
Right.
good to know
Right.
that you actually chose what's best for you, and you're actually
Right.
succeeding now. Okay. So to be on a more informal path, you're very active on social
So,
media, right? You're very active on
right.
Instagram, you're very active on LinkedIn, especially. So, like,
Right.
I'm also following you. You're posting daily content over there. So, just tell me, like, were you active on LinkedIn or Instagram during your college days as well?
Not at all. So, I mean, I'll tell you what. So, I think LinkedIn, I knew of LinkedIn when I entered college in 2013. And one of my professors, he sent a request to everybody in the batch. He was really active on LinkedIn. That is when I realized that, okay, LinkedIn is something and we are supposed to be there as professionals. Okay. Like literally, I was so unaware in life. And then that's when I made my account without any picture, without anything, literally just my school's name, my college name. That's it. That is literally it. No about section, nothing at all. And I used to never open it, like ever open it. And then after that, like when I started interning and everything, just so that I have a track record of where all I'm interning, I used to put my internships there. That's it, and nothing else. And then when I stepped out of college, I updated that I became an associate at SAM. And then I went to Dua. I updated that I became an associate at Dua. That was my LinkedIn activity literally. And I had done nothing apart from it till, whenever I started my career consultancy. But then when I started this, I realized that if I have to connect with my audience, which is primarily students and fresh graduates, they're all on LinkedIn mostly. And they're looking for some guidance or they want to talk to somebody, which is when I realized that I'll have to use, LinkedIn and Instagram. I mean, to be very candid with you, I really don't like using either of these. It has a huge negative impact on my mental health, which is why I just take breaks also, from huge long breaks from these platforms. But yes, I mean, it's become an inevitable part of everybody's profession these days that you have to use social media. So yeah, that's how I started
I
using.
think you rightly pointed out that sometimes you need to take a break, because that is very evident from your
Right.
account of LinkedIn, that your LinkedIn account is full of positivity as well as negativity as well. So I think
Right.
yeah, it is
Yeah.
very evident from your point of view that you need to take break. So that was
Right.
more of introductory part of the session. So let's move forward. So now to more informal part. Now we're gonna play rapid fire. So I'll ask you some questions. You
Oh,
quickly
great.
have to answer them. You need not to think about it. So just tell me, what
Okay,
was the
nice.
percentage of attendance of yours in the college?
Barely 75, 80% in the last years, but in my first year, it was embarrassingly high as 95, 98%. So
Because
yeah.
like you were very studious or what?
So I was, of course, studious. I mean, I wouldn't deny that ever. So I was very studious. But after I got a job in my fourth year, I just left my studies. And then I was like, I don't need to study any longer
Everyone
anyway. So
बोले.
like,
Because if you
so
know
then
that
it's
you're going to work Sam के साथ, you'll surely quit. Why won't you? So that was, I think, a good choice.
yeah, fifth year I didn't study at all. Like you can ask
Okay.
my friend. I never submitted my assignments. They submitted my assignments. So yeah.
I think that's a good message to all the audience who are watching this, that you can ask your friends to submit the assignments as well. So
Right,
after
right.
that, just tell me, was there any professor in your college who used to cut your attendance even if you don't talk?
No, no. So not exactly like cut my attendance if on purpose, but yes, we had a tax professor who was very strict. So even if say we were 2 minutes late in class, so he used to be like, "Sorry, attendance gone for the
This
day." So
happens
then
with
there was
me
no
as well.
motivation to sit
Even
in
if
the
I'm,
class. Okay,
yeah, five
yeah,
minutes late, they'll say you won't get attendance, but if you want to study, you can come inside,
yeah.
right?
And then there's no motivation to be very
You don't even
honest.
have
Yeah.
any option because you can't say that, yes, I don't want to attend, because you'll say, yes, sir, I want to study, so I'll just come inside.
Right, right, right,
But
right.
just tell me,
So yeah.
for example, if you are the professor,
Huh,
right? Would you choose
right.
to give attendance to those students who don't come to class, or who like those who are late?
Actually, I'll tell you what. I mean, I know it's unethical, but yes, I would just give it away randomly. I don't think I'll be very fixated on attendance because I've suffered it myself and I know that somebody who wants to study will study. Somebody who doesn't want to study will just not study irrespective. So it's okay. I mean, why to pressurize people? So yeah. But like,
Exactly
of
my
course,
point.
like a disclaimer, I know it's unethical, but yeah.
Okay. So after that, just tell me the best experience of yours. अभी तक you remember it
Best.
by saying कि यार मजा आ गया था. ऐसा वाला कुछ experience.
So I mean, I'll tell you. So okay, so I went on a trip with my friends to Jaisalmer, okay, and it was a really nice trip. And then we went to like we stayed at all inconvenient places, and I mean, it wasn't like a very luxurious trip or something because college trips how they are. It wasn't a very luxurious trip and everything, but yes, the side of Rajasthan that is usually famous for its sand dunes and camels and like forts and everything was very, very visible in that Jaisalmer side of the, the state. So yeah, I loved that trip. It was one of the best experiences.
But what about the worst experience? Like you don't want to, remember that, but still you have to answer this question. So yeah.
So I was interning at Trilegal and I was supposed to give this presentation, okay? And in presentation, I was supposed to give it on IBC. I mean, it was so bad. That presentation was so bad from my side that even the title I wrote was wrong. I wrote it Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2015, so not 16. So yeah, so it was that bad. And like I was literally in tears after the presentation that I knew how badly I screwed it up. So I never talk about it ever, but ठीक है. I mean, it was really bad.
मतलब हो गया, बस चला गया वो
Yeah.
चीज. Yeah, that is like that. But just tell me one
Oh.
thing. If I ask you that lawyer is equal to what for you, like quickly, just who is a
Lawyer
lawyer?
is equal. So somebody who knows about somebody who knows about the law and is able to, say represent somebody else through that knowledge. That's it.
If I no, I won't give you a power for sure because I myself don't have that power. Sorry.
Okay.
If you are given a power to, amend any provision of law or any section or anything about law, what would you do?
I would make certain laws gender neutral.
So you'll make gender neutral laws. I think that is
Yes.
the need of the hour as well. So good decision.
Right.
So just tell me one last question. If not law, okay, then what other profession you would have gone for?
Probably seeing my family, like to be realistic, both of my parents are chartered accountants. So I would have probably taken chartered accountancy because I was anyway a commerce student. But like, thank God I didn't take up chartered accountancy. Like, thank God I didn't. Like, I thank God every day that I didn't take it up because I see my friends suffer. And then, I made friends in law school because of taking up law. So yeah, I mean, I think that would have been like my boring other option apart from law.
So that was all about our rapid fire game. So now to be more on a formal note, So just tell us
Right.
something about your organization. How did you came up with that idea of, coming up with career solutions with Ashna Jain?
Right.
And I think
So,
that is very, famous nowadays in the market, especially among the legal fraternity. The students itself, they are very inclined towards it. They are attending your conferences, webinars. So how did you came up with that idea?
initially, like say when I got a job in my fourth year, I was really free in my fifth year, right? Like I told you. So I used to help a lot of my friends and acquaintances to, to in their applications, resume, interview preparation, etc. And I had a lot of inclination towards doing this thing and as a hobby, like, when you help your friends and acquaintances. So that was it. That was one side of it, right? That's how I started something about it. After that, when cut to the lockdown when it happened, so I was in the litigation team and the courts had shut for some time. I had a lot of free time. So, and that time I realized that if there's something else also that I wanted to pursue, I have a lot of free time at that time and I can do that. So I realized that there's this one continuous thing that I've been doing is helping people in, say, their job applications, their internship applications, interview preps, etc. And this is something that I have been doing continuously. Like subconsciously, people have been approaching me ever since, and I've been helping them. So I thought, why not, give it a try? And of course, Career Solutions name also came very organically. There's nothing very special story about it because anyway, I was providing career related solutions. So Career Solutions suited best for me. So yeah, I just picked it. That's how I started doing it. And more about my organization is, see, I tell you very simply put, okay, it's not anything complicated. It's just a consultancy wherein I help students draft their resume. I help them with their any sort of, say, cover letters, SOPs, or like, interview preparations, etc. Anything that relates to how you're going to get, say, a job or an internship that you're desirous of. And in persons of that, I take personal sessions also, and I take workshops also. I mean, you know it, right? So all of us know it. So I take both of those. And the third facet of it is that I get invited by a lot of law schools and education institutions, and those include like other education institutions also, like management institutes, engineering institutes. Because why? Because see, they also want resume at the end of the day. It's not like a law student's thing, right? Resume is required by everybody. Interview prep is required by everybody. So I go and conduct workshops for organizations as well. So that's it. That's the idea, and that was it. And like, again, another thing, you would ask that, a very logical necessary question would be that, a lot of people are doing it anyway in the market. So like, why would you want to continue doing it? Because I do it because I'm very passionate about it since I was in law school. So it's not essentially a business idea. It was anyway an idea that I was following as a hobby since, so it's a hobby for me, not work per se. And secondly, like, there are so many people in an industry, there can't be a monopoly anyway, right? So like, you see lawyers community, there are like thousands and lakhs of lawyers in our country, and not like, it's not like one person's job, right? Everybody has their own share of success, everybody has their own share of clients, so it's completely fine. So even like, sometimes some students come and ask me that, we also want to enter into this mentoring field, so how should we do that? So instead of discouraging them, I always go ahead and tell them that this is something that, the list of things that you should be doing in order to build your, say, audience, etc. So if somebody who's watching this video wants to, say, become a mentor, become somebody who wants to enter this field, just show your originality, and that's it. And like, if somebody wants to get attached to you, they will eventually. It's fine. It's totally chill. Like, there are a lot of people in all the industries. There are thousands of doctors, there are lakhs of lawyers, lakhs of schools, everybody is doing fine. So like, nobody needs to, like, get worked up because of it. So yeah, that's
So,
primarily
like, whenever someone says that they do have an organization, and like, nowadays within the legal fraternity, students are actively looking for internships. But I don't think that
it.
you provide internship opportunities within your organization.
So
Do you?
so two things. I mean, I'm glad you asked this. So I there are two things. I'm starting, like, once the pandemic subsides, my mental health also comes on track. I am starting to offer internships to students as well, to people in the lawyers community and in the management community to, manage a few things for me. And otherwise, apart from that, we are starting with a placement cell also. So we'll be offering a lot of internships to students as well. And, we'll be fixing their internships in the law firms. So we've partnered with a few law firms as of now, but I can't obviously reveal the names. But yes, by June, I think I'll be able to introduce them. So yeah.
So it means students who are watching this, please get set ready for it. Ma'am is coming up with a new venture, maybe a new placement cell. Just send in your resume and just get your internship fixed at any law firm.
So that's no, it's too rosy to listen to it like that. But yes, yeah.
Yeah, just congratulations for that in advance. So, how do you indulge students in your organization right now?
So see, for now, I only, okay, so I'll tell you what, I need specific help at times, with a lot of things that I do. So like say, managing some of the workshop, or like say, I recently organized a 3-day workshop wherein, I took on board a student, a third-year student who studies in Lucknow University. And, I took his help for managing the Zoom part of it, right? I have a partner also. He's also a lawyer, but he helps me back end in all the logistics and every partnerships and everything with the law firms. But apart from that, students, I take specific helps as of now, whatever I require, and I give a remuneration as per whatever they've helped me. But now I want to start a more say a systematic way of doing it, which is why I'm saying that I'll introduce it in June and then we can all know about it. So yeah.
That's good to know that you indulge students as well in your organization.
Right.
And I think most students look forward to work with you for sure. So that was all about your organization and all. But during this pandemic came with so many tragedies for some, with so many dramas for them, right? Like for some, lockdown was a kind of positive change. For some, lockdown was a kind of negative wave in their life.
Very negative.
So, any kind of specific advice for the batch of 2020 and the 2021 for sure, who are actually struggling with internships or who are just worried about their placements?
Like honestly, when you know that you're from the batch of 2020 and 2021, you should realize that even the employer knows that you're from that batch, right? So it's okay. So it's not like that you were supposed, that the market was at all-time high and you still didn't get a job or you still didn't get that internship, right? The employer also understands that the market was at an all-time low dips, right? So it's okay to have that sort of an employment gap or to have that sort of a that internship gap. So it's okay. Even if say you were not productive, you were at the very lowest of your health, etc., physical health, mental health, whatever, it's completely fine. What I intend to give as an offer is that, all of us should intend to develop a side hustle, which is essentially not something which can pay all our bills, but at least if it can pay some of our bills, it's going to make our life easier. The job hunting process is going to become easier. Say, the internship finding process is going to become relatively easier if we have some steady source of income coming in. Now, I don't mean to say ki, that income should be like, say, around 30,000 a month or something. No, if it's even as low as, say, 5,000, 6,000 a month is completely fine. At least you have some of your savings, right? It gives you moral support at the end of the day. So some basic things that you can do to earn that side hustle is like, you can indulge in legal content writing. You can contact all these edtech organizations and ask them for paid writing assignments, etc. So a lot of things are there in the market, and you can approach startups and tell them that that you want to draft their agreements, etc. So and they don't want to hire lawyers. Why? Because it's very expensive for them. But if say you are somebody who's willing to do it in like 20,000-30,000 for them all the agreements, why would they not agree to you, right? So this is something that you should be doing. But if you don't have the energy, then please don't stress yourself. That is something that I want to give out as a message. Like, don't stress yourself. If you can't do it, just leave it. That's it. I mean, it's okay. Ho jayega. So yeah.
Just talking about the stress level and, if you are ready to do some work, like not talking about particularly the batch of 2020 or 2021, even the other students, whenever you open LinkedIn, so many students do a lot of internships, but during this pandemic, some are doing, multiple internships at times. So what do you say about
Right.
it? Because I think there was a post as well, like you posted that doing
Hmm.
multiple internships at a time don't work at all. So what do you say about it?
And honestly, it's not even ethical because you can't intern with two organizations at once, because there is a huge possibility that there'll be a breach of confidentiality of information that one organization is relying on you for, right? So I feel that having multiple internships at multiple times shows your lack of commitment, also lack of loyalty towards that one organization. So instead of say making up things for you, it might break things for you, like at the end of the day, when say you are being interviewed and the employer asks you that why were you interning at three places at once. So then you won't have an answer, because then you'll be like, I was just in a race of gathering as many internships as possible. So I feel that if a resume only has like say 3 to 4 internships also at the max, like total 3 to 4 good internships, like relevant ones, relevant to your area of law, I think that's more than sufficient to get you a job. So yeah.
That's good to know that you actually raised this point that it's not ethical sometimes because there is a breach of confidentiality. That was all about our session, and I must say that it was a fruitful session. Students want to see like how to proceed with the applications part, how to proceed with your resume. You need not have one page specific CV, and you need not to
Sure.
intern multiple firms at one time. So that was a good
Right.
session. So any concluding remarks for everyone or the viewers who's going to watch this video?
So I think honestly, like when I was a law student, I used to be very chill about the entire thing. When I see law students these days, they are so worked up. Like everybody's sitting on LinkedIn, everybody's become a guru, or like like they're all very, very worked up. So I feel that people should drink water and relax. That's it. That's the only thing. So yeah.
That's a good mantra of life, even have a cup of coffee, enjoy your life. That's it. This happens actually,
Right,
I
right.
think, but like with law students, it only happens when you have exams that you grab a cup of coffee and you study all night, right?
You're right.
So that was a good session, and thank you so much for accepting our invitation, and thank you for
So
sparing
thank
your
you so
time
much
with
for
us.
inviting. Thank you. Thank you so much.